Unique situation just with so many D-men injured. I know you don't play that position, but do the forwards, are you cognizant of it? Can you be more aware defensively when you have such a young group? Does that factor in the game plan at all?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's things you can do to help yourself out. Obviously, as a forward group, getting hold-ups on guys, chipping pucks out, getting pucks in. I mean, all the cliche stuff. So, obviously, we've got a young group back there right now with injuries and whatnot. So, as forwards, have to help them out.
You look at your team's history, and I know that every year there's lots of new teams. You hadn't seen them in 2 years, but you guys haven't had a ton of success. You've been in every game, and you just haven't been able to win. This year, what's the difference for your team, do you feel, being able to defeat teams that you haven't been able in the past, maybe before? Are you a better team at knowing how to manage games?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure what it is. Every now and then there's a team that seems to have your number year after year, and it seems like we haven't had that problem this year. Pittsburgh's a team obviously we haven't had a ton of success with over the last number of years, and obviously a big one for us tonight. A chance to end that.
Connor, looked like Hyman and Cassian on your line. How do you think that mix is working? Zach, you played with Zach before, but what do you think this line has the potential to do well?
I mean, we all skate well. We all work. I mean, Cass and Jesse are pretty similar players in that sense. That they work hard, they forecheck well. They're big bodies and can get pucks stopped in the O-zone. So, not too much different for me. I've played a lot with Cass before, and know his game pretty well.
Sid said yesterday that one of the most impressive things to him about you is that you've been able to find new levels in your game over the last number of years. Is there anything about Sid's game or what you've evaluated about him that impresses you the most?
I think Sid has changed his game since he's been in the league. I think he came in as a pass-first guy, and then he wanted to get better at face-offs, and now look at him, he's a great face-off guy, and he wanted to score more goals, and he's a 50-goal scorer and a Rocket Richard winner, and so he's kind of changed his game as he's kind of gone along, and obviously that's so impressive in itself, and obviously he's won everything there is to win. So obviously one of the best to ever do it in our sport, and it's always a good challenge.
He's one of the few guys out there that might understand some of what you'd been through in your career from the time of even being a teenager. What role has he played in your career, just in terms of being somebody that's been a sounding board at times? How would you characterize that relationship?
Yeah, I mean, we don't talk a ton about that stuff, truthfully, just watching him from afar has helped me out. Just seeing the way he handles himself, how he carries himself, how he obviously his game. You can learn lots from that. So I would say learning more from watching from afar, and obviously getting to know him a little bit over the last couple of years has been fun.
Connor, I know the Olympics are still a ways away, but just the thought of playing with Sid on that Team Canada, I guess, what are your thoughts of getting that opportunity to play with him?
Yeah, it'd be so exciting. I mean, to play with any of those Canadian guys, there's a deep group of players to pick from, and just getting the opportunity to represent my country and play with some of the best players in the world, and obviously Sid's right up there at the top. It's it's a huge honor and something that I certainly look forward to.
Playing with those elite players at that elite level in that tournament, I guess, how do you think that will benefit your game coming back to the NHL, or will it at all?
I think just playing, hockey at the highest level, against, best on best, there's definitely lots to learn about your game in those scenarios, and learn from other guys as well, just, kind of watching again from, how guys prepare, what guys do on the ice, there's always different things you can pick up that, might help your game along the way. Yeah, of course. Anytime you get to play against a team that, like Pittsburgh, that's won cups and been so successful in this league, it's always a a great challenge for our group. And it's exciting for our group to test ourselves against a team like Pittsburgh and like Sid and all their guys over there. So, yeah, of course it's exciting. Oh, what, sorry?
Sorry about that. We're all talking about McDavid versus Crosby tonight. Should we be expecting a big night out of Leon Draisaitl?
I think you can always expect a big night out of Leo. You know, he's been playing so well and, you know, doing everything. So, yeah, I mean, you can always expect Leo to produce.
All right, thanks.
Your blue line is banged up, and you've got some young bodies in there. I wonder, as a group, if that, you know, in some ways, just everybody tightens up a little bit more, and as a group, how you make sure on a night like tonight.
Yeah, I think you have to, make it simple for them as best you can by, bringing, all three forwards coming back, giving them options on breakouts, and, playing as a tight five-man unit will kind of make it easier and not put too much pressure on, guys that either don't have a lot of experience or, like Nemo is playing his first game.
I know you're new to the organization, but as you look around and you get to know some of these young D-men that you've been playing with for a few months here, but also you see the pipeline coming up, what are you seeing from, the caliber defenseman that you have available to you and what the organization has?
Yeah, I mean, I think you saw in preseason, and now you see with guys like Broberg and these kids, there's highly skilled, highly effective players that, for how young they are, they play, above their years already. So, that's obviously exciting. You can never have too much depth in an organization at any position. When you see it on the blue line with some of these young kids that look, very, very calm and very mature for their age, it's exciting to see.
Colton, you played a lot of years in the NHL against Crosby. Then you got to be his teammate last year. What's the appreciation level? How different was it for you once you see a guy day to day? And were you able to glean anything of what his tendencies are that could help you check him tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you see guys from a distance, you see them a couple times a year. They're elite players when they're elite players. When you see them on a daily basis, you kind of pick up what makes them elite. You see it here with some of the players here as well. As far as picking up habits, I think that those elite players, I don't think you ever really pick up habits on how to slow them down. It's kind of try to limit the best you can, but that caliber of player, like you see with the McDavids and the Crosbys and those kind of guys, you don't necessarily stop them by figuring out their tendencies because they can play the game so many different ways. You know when they're elite, you got to be hard on them and kind of limit their pace the best you can.
What about their head coach, Mike Sullivan? He seems to be able to get a lot. That team's been ravaged by injuries for the last few seasons, COVID this year. What about their system that you played in last year that makes them hard to play against? Yeah,
I think that their system's pretty simple as far as X's and O's, but he demands hard work. He demands everyone to come in and play to a certain level. And I think when you have that kind of style and that kind of system, you can plug guys in as needed and when needed, I guess, and kind of have some success. And I think they've been able to do that in years past and so far this year as well.
And can you put your finger on the early game struggles for your team? You guys have been great coming from behind, and when you do score first, you're undefeated. but you've only scored first in 8 of 20 games. So do you need a better start collectively from your team? And if so, how do you go about having that happen?
I mean, obviously, I think there are some games you look back on that the start could have been better. I think there's other games where we had good starts and just weren't able to capitalize, and the other team did. I think it's been kind of a combination. Obviously, you don't want to make a habit of that through an 82-game season, constantly playing down one, but at the same time, when you have the confidence that when it happens, you kind of just shrug it off and you know you're going to go get the next one and get back to even. It's also a good feeling to have that kind of confidence in the room. So obviously, like to get the first one more times than not, but I think as a group, we're confident that we can win games even if we don't. Thanks, guys.
Well, you always say you like challenges and that good teams overcome injuries. Well, you're testing that again tonight. You add another young defenseman, one that you really haven't seen. Give us your thoughts on Niemelainen and having such a young D-core tonight.
Well, it's an opportunity for guys to step up. Like you say, there's not what was expected, but we're in this situation, and now you got to get people in that do the job for you. And young Broberg's come in and played well for us. Bush from the start of the year has been a good player for us, and Niemelainen is probably the most physical of all the players coming. If you watch his game in Bakersfield, he's a real competitive guy, plays big minutes for them, and has earned the right to be here. And that's when Ken and I talked yesterday. We talked about Ken's philosophy is we want to bring the best guy there possible, or who's playing the best, and he was playing the best, so he gets an opportunity. So he's a big kid. He's always smiling, kind of enjoys the game. I think he enjoys the physical part of the game. So he's going to get thrown into a situation tonight against a good team, and I think he's ready for it. Hopefully he plays well.
You put him with Broberg, you moved Broberg to the right side. You didn't disrupt the other pairings. I know you've had a lot of changes. Was that a key? You try not to disrupt all three pairs again? Or is it also that maybe
a little bit
back soon?
Trying to, Laggy and Bush were pretty steady. We got Russell and Barry who played quite a bit together. So you're trying to get a little bit of stability there. We'll see how that goes. That could change during the game, and some special team stuff. You'll see Broberg with Bouchard a little bit. So we'll see how it goes. You're flying by the seat of your pants a little bit, to be honest with you.
So it's kind of unfortunate that Connor and Sidney don't play more often, obviously. But I was just wondering if you can maybe discuss the parallels of the two and what Connor can learn from Sidney, and I guess how do you kind of see both players and the trajectory of their careers?
Well, the parallels you go back to every now and then. It's probably the media or whoever talks about generational players, and they've both been slotted in that category. Both young Canadian players with great resumes coming up to get in the picked first overall and get in the league, and they deal with. I think the easiest thing for both those players is to get in and get on the ice and play, because that's what they do best. I think dealing with all the other stuff that comes along with being those generational players is a real learning experience. And I know Sid, as a young player, came through that and has done an unbelievable job, not just for Pittsburgh, but for the league. And Connor's in that vein also. So there's a learning point, a learning part of the game that to be leaders of not just their team, of the game. Both of them have done an unbelievable job. And I think, you say, is there things Connor's learned? I watched, played with Mario. I'm sure Mario had a great influence on Sid, and Sid, the way he conducts himself and the way he carries himself and is a real credit to him and what he does for the game. And I think Connor, those are things that Connor has picked up on as the years have gone by, and does it very much, does a lot of the same things. So they're both incredible players. They both are great for the game, great people. And like you say, it's too bad they don't play against each other more, but we'll get to see it tonight.
Yeah, we get to see it tonight, and it's obviously a lot of excitement about that matchup with the players and all of us. But how do coaches view that matchup too? You guys get excited about a matchup of two great players as well?
Yeah, I think you do. Yeah, I think you do. You're thinking more of the whole team, but you also recognize that you have two of those unbelievable players. I think they're going to have fun playing against each other. I think they obviously know each other well, and they're going to be teammates in the Olympics. But I think they have fun and they compete against each other, and it's good for everybody. It's probably fun for them and good for everybody else.
Dave, based on practice this morning, it looks like you've got McDavid and Draisaitl on separate lines. You've got last change, and you've got Crosby here. So I don't expect you to give us your matchup strategy, but do both guys want that matchup? Do you sense that both Connor or Leon would want that matchup?
Yeah, I don't think you'd shy away from it. Like that. Top players want to play against top players all the time. That's the way it goes. Depends how this game's going, and depends how the other matchups come to fruition. There's a lot of factors that come into it, but I don't think either team is going to shy away from playing their top players against top players.
With that in mind, top players want to play against other top players. What have you seen from Connor over the years when there are high-end guys on the other side and his ability to rise to that?
I think they're engaged all the time with that. One of the things that we talked yesterday about Sid is, as his game has evolved from a young player, there was always things he worked on and improved his game at. And I see Connor the same vein, and we talked a little bit of it was the face-offs. Early on in Sid's career, it was an area that he had to improve, and we've talked about that with Connor. And now I think he's with his 53, 54%. So those top players, they find ways to improve, even though their game is at a level that is very high. They find ways to improve. So when they get to play against each other, there's a little bit of that street cred on the line, and it's fun to watch.
Street cred. Hi, Dave. It's always unnerving when there's a COVID result in your room, but it looks like you guys are one and done on that front. Is that maybe the result of... Yeah, I was going to do that.
We'll see.
Is that the result of the diligence that's going on back there?
Well, Doc Nadeau and TD do an unbelievable job, just in making sure that the protocols are followed. And unfortunately, we had the one case. We've had some guys with COVID, in the summer and that, but nothing that's really gone through our dressing room. So we, hopefully we took some steps to nip it in the bud right away. We'll see. Those things are, you never know, So it's unfortunate. CC came down positive. We'll deal with it, and hopefully we can keep the rest of it out. But we'll deal with that if it comes along.
Yeah, obviously things are a little bit locked down a little more now in the wake of that.
Yeah, it's when you do get a positive case, there's certain things that you jump on and make sure that we're staying on top of, just to do whatever you can to stop a spread.
Dave, how long does CC have to stay off? Does he need 2 straight, tests where he's not positive?
I believe it's 10 days. And then having the tests, the negative tests from there. That's the word that I got. Now, can it become sooner? I think we'll follow the protocols right to the end. So we'll see.
And there's lots of talk about Connor versus Crosby. Do you suppose Leon Draisaitl is sitting back there thinking, maybe I'll steal their thunder?
Well, I think the reason you talk about Connor and Sid is they're both Canadian kids, right? I think you're exactly right. I think Leon is right in that conversation. So, but you know, you're talking about the parallels of Connor and Sid, both first picks overall. I mean, Canadian kids. That's probably why it gets the highlight. But I'm sure Dry takes notice of that. So hopefully he comes out and wants to play in that group too.
Is it much like, I guess, Malkin in Pittsburgh?
I've said it for a long time. It's very similar situations. You know, they've got Sid and Malkin, and we've got Connor and Leon. Very similar kind of setup.
One more. Coaches can't raise their voice anymore to the officials with that $25,000 fine. How do you?
We don't have to worry about it here. We got masks on here, so we're fine.
They can't hear you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mumble anyway, Jim, so they never understand me anyway. So.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thanks, guys.